Hey everyone, welcome to the Middle School Visual Arts PLC group. My name is Alicia Montgomery and I'm the moderator for this group. I'm so glad that you joined our community. It was really created with you in mind. Our goal is to collaborate and support each other as we go through this craziness of teaching middle school visual arts. Whether you're the only one in your system or one of many, I know that you'll find things here that you will learn and that will help you. In order to make this as beneficial as possible for everyone, be sure to set up your notifications and check back often to see posts, discussions, and support that will be showcased. Also, please engage in our discussions. It's always great to hear different points of view. So this episode of Curriculum and Assessment is about differentiation. Differentiation in art means providing for the individual needs of the students in your art class so that they all make progress. So one of the first ways that I try to come up with differentiation is to make sure that I'm knowing my students. Who is the student who repeatedly doesn't know what they're doing after you've just talked to the whole class and explained what to do? Those are the ones that I go to first to make sure they know what they're doing. This is called differentiation. Who has behavioral issues and is going to be slow getting on with the task? This is also a student that you need to support to make progress through the behavioral strategies. Responding to all of these different learning styles and needs is just differentiation. So it's something that we naturally do as teachers anyway. So the time we can put into finding ways we can do this as middle school teachers varies depending on your schedule. Some of us have students for a semester every day. Some have them for every day for 9 weeks or 6 weeks. I see my students every other day for 9 weeks. So it's about 22 days, give or take assemblies. So I don't have as much time to get to know my students as I would like to. Not as much as somebody who might have them for 90 days. So I have to look at your situation and see the best ways for you to do this, to get to know your students. So I make sure I look at all the documented data. So all of those alphabet soup letters, IEPs, 504s, which of my students are ESOL, SPED, have ADHD, all of those things. Then I've got to look at what kind of accommodations do they have, like extended time, small group, read twos, what kind of physical challenges might they have, vision, motor skills, behavioral challenges. And I do this through mini labs, getting input from their data, from other teachers. Looking at all these things helps me know which students to get to know first and fast. I try to identify my behavioral challenges. Those tend to jump out at you the first or second class. So you can see really quickly, which students need to be separated, which ones not to let move around the room at the same time, which ones you need to have sitting close to you, so that you can, redirect often, make sure they're staying on task. And then finally, I do several mini labs that only take a class period. And if you're interested in those, they were in another session. So you can check those out. That way I can see the level of students that I know have some differentiation needs and see if there are any others that I need to add to my list or investigate to see what's going on with them, maybe with some other teachers or digging a little more into some records. These labs include really basic drawing, folding, cutting, coloring, those kinds of things. I try to refrain from asking teachers or forming opinions about students based on what other teachers say, because often the ones that are considered problem students aren't problem students in my class. And you probably see that a lot in your classroom as well, because it's an outlet for them and they enjoy being there. Right. The next thing that I do is I look at my curriculum plan. Look at my accommodations and decide what are some ways that I can help them meet the final desired outcome that I want them to produce. One of the ways that I look at that is by increasing or decreasing the size of the project. So maybe decreasing the number of details they have to have, or increasing the number of buildings they have if we're drawing a city. Give them extended time. Sometimes I'll let them come in when we have remediation time built into our schedules. Think about which students I have that are visual learners, which ones are audio learners, which ones are kinesthetic learners, or a combination of these. I also often use technology. If I have students that I know need to have things repeated more than once, I'll record my demonstrations and put it on their learning platforms, whether that be Google Classroom or whatever it is. So then they can access that at any time. They can pause it as they go. And so they have got those immediate reminders. I also use that for my students that need a read to accommodation. So if there's things like their rubrics or instruction sheets, I put those on there so they can use the built-in read to accommodations that our school system has provided on some of our learning platforms. I do a lot of support resources. Like I was talking about, I already do the videos of the demos. I try to put a sheet similar to this one for every project that we do, and it just has our step-by-step instructions. This helps for the students who just need to, okay, what do I do next? I've done this, what do I do next? I also have this translated if I have students that are not speaking English or don't speak English very well. I try to have it translated into their language. We have a lot of Spanish speaking students that come in that don't speak any English yet or very limited. And so that way they can look at the English version and the Spanish version side by side. And hopefully that's helping them learn some English as well. Some of my students I do checklists for. So, okay, this is what you need to do first. Don't go on to the second thing till you've checked this off. That helps them. I also do a work ethics sheet that helps keep up with their behavior in class and keeps them on track for participation. It's kind of like a daily grade. I focus on skill level. So if they're really, really good drawers, I might say, okay, you might want to do your Zentangle project by doing it this way. And you can do something like the elephant or an animal and put your patterns inside of it. If I have students that are not as confident with drawing or that have fine motor skill issues, then I might give them something where they've got, a preset space. Like, okay, here's a cube and you're going to draw on each side of the box. And they start off with it flat and then they put it together. So I might have, if I have students that really are working on just basic shape drawings, instead of them doing, linear perspective, I may give them some sheets where it has a little house like this with just a dotted line, square, and triangle, and have them practice that several times, and then have them draw freehand those things that they've been tracing to create their city drawing. Another way that I do some differentiation is by extension. So earlier finishers that have done a complete job, they've really tried their best, they've done well. I allow them to choose another project, either from a list that I have or just a personal idea of something that they like to do. So if they really like to draw dinosaurs, then I may give them a project that focuses on drawing those things. And then we have a catch-up day. So students that either have been absent or that need extended time, they can continue working on their projects during that catch-up day. And I usually put a cute picture of a ketchup bottle on the board so they kind of remember that that's what it is. And I'll put a checklist on the board as well that looks similar to this one so that they know what needs to be completed. And then we talk about, it can be summative or it can be formative, but I try to do it daily, and you probably do this already. Just going around the room saying, hey, make sure you color this in a little more solid. Make sure you're using your ruler. Let me show you again how to do this. Make sure that you're getting on task. I like the way you drew the bricks on that building, whatever it is that you're working on. You do this on a regular basis. And that's really another way of giving them individualized help and assistance. I let my students kind of have a little freedom about where they sit. Most of the time they're at their tables. Sometimes if they like to hold their drawings down in their lap because it's more comfortable, I'll give them a clipboard so they can do that. I let them stand at the counters if that's more comfortable for them, if that helps with students that are kind of wiggly. Sometimes I'll pull them and let them sit in a small group. Um, Try to make sure that students that are distracting to other students are separated. I usually set up my classroom where half of the class period we're working very quietly, and then the other half of the class I allow them to talk softly to the people at their group. So that way, students that focus better when it's silent can have that opportunity, as well as those that do better interacting with other students. So those are just some ways that I differentiate. If you have any questions or comments, please don't hesitate to message me or respond to this post. And happy teaching!